Alright guys, what is up? So today I'm going to be talking about why you should never buy a new motorcycle. I know I said never, but actually there is one exception that I'm going to talk about here later in the video. So I got 5 reasons on my list today on why you should not buy a new motorcycle and you should always buy a used motorcycle. Man, it's another nice day though, man, in October. Don't get too many days like this. Gotta take advantage of it. We're going to go on a little bit of a different ride today, guys. The first thing is like why everybody buys a used bike, guys. You're gonna get a better deal. You just are. And let me tell you what, when you guys buy a new bike, as soon as you buy it, I don't even care if you put 5 miles on it. It's already devalued just because it's already had an owner. So find a used bike with like 500 to 1,000 miles, man. That's a new bike. Especially with these kind of bikes, a lot of people buy them. You know, they're like going through like a midlife crisis or something like that. They buy it, put a few mods on it, and they're like, you know what, this bike ain't even for me, man. This thing's gonna kill me. So they end up selling it, and then a guy like me comes around and buys it. I hear a lot of people say, man, I want to be the only person that's owning this bike. I want to know what it's going through. I want this, I want that. I'll tell you what, man, these bikes can go through a lot. Now, I'm not saying go buy a bike with 50,000 miles on it that's like 30 years old. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying that you guys can save money by doing that. You can buy bikes that are practically new, that are they're used, but they're still new. I'm not gonna lie, there are a lot of people out there just trying to get rid of their junk and sell it to somebody else and be like, now it's your problem. When I was looking at used bikes, I had to say no a lot. So you do have to be careful. I'm not saying you don't have to be careful. You definitely got to be careful. This bike, for example, I found this bike had one owner and it did have a little bit of miles on it. It had like 9,000 miles, but I'll tell you what, everyone's scared of miles. I'll tell you what's more important than miles is condition and properly maintaining it. If you do those things, then it really doesn't matter. All miles mean, guys, is the guy rode the bike. And that's actually a better thing, because that means, hey, this bike runs. This bike runs okay, man. So I'd actually rather buy a bike that has a little bit more miles and I know it's been ridden, so I know it's reliable. Because when you get a bike that's sat for like 10, 15 years, has like 3,000 miles, well, I'll tell you what, it might look good, but things are going to probably start going wrong. Because when you let bikes sit for a long time, that's when stuff starts going wrong, when you start to ride it again. There's plenty of bikes out there that you can buy with low miles, desirable mods, and they're just as reliable as a new bike. And I hear a lot of people say this. They'll be like, well, I want to know every mile that's been on this bike. I want to know what the life's been like, everything like that. Guys, these bikes can take a pounding. I promise you that. That's one thing I will promise you, is these bikes are extremely reliable, especially if you get a Japanese bike. I recommend that you do get a Japanese bike, because it's going to be hard to break a Japanese bike. You're going to have to seriously do something wrong. So it's just not necessary. I mean, these things are a liability. There's a lot of reasons why you don't see older bikes out there. It's not because the bike broke down. Typically, it's because they wrecked the bike, or they convert them to race bikes and they're not on the road anymore. So it's not because the engine craps out, guys. These things can last a long time, especially if you take care of them. They'll pretty much last forever. I mean, this thing's, you know, I expect to have this bike for, oh my gosh, look at that plane. Dude, that is so cool. Man, look at that. That's cool. This is a private airport. Should probably turn around, actually. I think I'm going the wrong way right now. Oh, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. It's just not necessary, guys. I'm telling you right now. If you guys want a peace of mind and you want to buy the bike new, that's up to you, man. If you think it's worth like $6,000 more, then I guess, you know, that's your opinion. I bought this bike for $6,500. And I bought it like, how long has it been? It's been like 3 or 4 years now, and I still feel like I could sell this bike for the same price, if not more. Now, if I bought this bike new, there's no way I could do that. I would be taking a big loss. If you see a new bike, like it's new, and it's like 1 or 2 or 3 years old, and hear me out, I mean new as in like the life of the bike never started. Like it had never had any fluids in it. As soon as you put fluids in the bike, that's when the life starts. Right now, let's just say I saw a 2020 that's about to be 3 years old. If it's still on the showroom floor and you can get it for like thousands of dollars cheaper, hey, I'll agree with you there. You should buy that, because that's still technically not new, but it's new, if you know what I'm saying. And you're gonna get a way better deal. So that's gonna bring me into number 3, guys. Aftermarket parts, guys. If you guys want some aftermarket parts, let the guy that bought it new put those on there and you get the better deal, you know. Let him put that exhaust system on, let him put those cosmetics on, then let him decide, hey, I don't want this bike, you know. I did get this bike from a private seller. He just put like practically brand new tires on it, maybe like a year old, if that. I still have them on here today. I didn't have to buy aftermarket tires, and you know, on these kind of bikes, aftermarket tires are pretty essential. You need some aftermarket tires. You know, obviously you got to pay it. Whoa, those are new trails, yo. Those are some trails I could ride my dirt bike on. Like I said, I got tires, I got free HIDs that I never put on. I also got a bell helmet with the bike, and that's another thing too. When you're buying the bike used, they're probably not going to need their stand anymore. They're probably not going to need their helmet, all this stuff. Now, I do recommend you probably buy your own helmet, just because it's better to do that. I have no idea where I'm at. Oh, okay, this leads to over here. Okay, I didn't know that. So yeah, guys, ask them. They're probably not going to need those extra parts anymore because they're getting rid of their bike, right? Ask them for it. The worst they can say is no, right? Mods, accessories, cosmetics, stuff like that. You can get that all with a used bike, and they can still practically be new. If you get a bike that's like 2 or 3 years old, you know, it has like 1,000 miles on it, which is pretty common. Come on, man, that's new. You know what I mean? That bike hasn't even had like 3% of the life used out of it yet. So that to me is new. That's going to bring me into the next thing, guys. And I mentioned this a little earlier as well. As soon as you buy a bike new, it's already losing value. I don't care if it has 5 miles on it. Just because you owned it, it's losing its value, and that to me kind of sucks. You know, that kind of sucks to me. So you buy a bike new, man, you're already losing money because you want to buy it new. And like I said, people want to buy a new bike because they're, oh, I want it to be in perfect condition. Well, let me tell you something. Go take it on the highway once or twice, and that'll be over pretty quickly. You know, I'm not saying go buy a motorcycle and plan on selling it right away. Nah, it's a motorcycle, man. Have fun with it. That's what you should do, in my opinion. This bike's about to be 7, 8 years old, something like that. If I sold this and got essentially what I paid for it, I mean, that's a win. I'm not going to sell it because I love this bike. My point is the resale value is going to be trash if you buy it new. You're losing money. You're not saving money like that. Especially if you take it to a dealership. They're a business, so they're really going to talk you down. And the last thing, guys, motorcycles are a liability, man. A lot of people wreck these things. They mod them out. They do all these things to them. You know, they're a liability. They're not something you want to be like investing a ton of money into, in my personal opinion. That's why I always believed in buying used bikes. I've literally never owned a new motorcycle just because it doesn't make sense. Like, it just doesn't. If I can get a good used bike, why buy it new, you know? Find one that's practically new and, you know, there you go. It's not something you want to be investing all this money into, especially if you're a beginner. If you're a beginner, do not buy your dream bike for your first bike, because you're probably going to drop it, and it's going to suck when you drop it and now it's all damaged up. Then you're going to be all upset. Then you know what? Maybe motorcycles ain't for you. So the reason why you guys don't see a ton of old bikes out here too is, man, like I said, everybody wrecks them. These bikes typically don't last that long unless they get in the hands of a responsible rider, and even then, you know, anything can happen on a motorcycle. Anything's possible. One thing you guys don't know about me, every single time I get on and off this bike, I always say a prayer, because, you know, it's a blessing to be able to get off your bike and be able to get on it too, you know. Not everybody has the chance to do that. Is that guy coming to... Okay. I thought that cop was coming to make a ooey to pull me over. I'm like, come on, man. Especially like this bike, for example. If I spend like 10 grand, man, I'm buying a 1000. I just am. I ain't spending no 10 grand on a 600. Heck no, I'm not doing that. Where I'm at, you can only really ride like half of the year anyways, because you got the cold months coming up. But it's October right now. It's still pretty warm, so that's kind of a plus. What about when it rains, when it snows, all that stuff? If you're going to spend a ton of money, buy a car. Buy something that you can get your money's worth, you know? You buy a motorcycle, just buy a good used one. Even if you buy a car, man, I'd still buy it used. I don't know. I've never had a new car either, man. I don't believe in buying new. Typically, people that won't buy these things for a steal, and you can only buy them for a steal most of the time when you buy them used, is people that aren't hands-on. You know, I know that engines last a long time. They're not just gonna crap out. So just do your research, you know, guys. You don't have to buy a bike new. You just don't, unless you're that picky and you want to spend like $6,000, $7,000 more dollars or however much it is. Then, you know, that's up to you. To me, I don't think that's worth it. I just don't. You can get a good modern sport bike today that's, you know, 4 or 5 years old, or even less than that, for like almost half the price. Like, that to me just makes way more sense in my opinion. I don't know, man, but this is just all advice at the end of the day, man. If you guys got any questions for me, let me know, man. I'll answer all your questions. All right, guys, that is going to wrap it up for this video. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you guys leave a like on the video. If you guys want to subscribe, click this button right here. If you guys want to watch another video, click this over here. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.